or your next home. Go with the pros who have all the tools and know-how to make your home buying experience as smooth and successful as humanly possible. Get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Ready for a win? Well, it's your year. At Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, you could win over $2,000 in free play every month all year long. Just play your favorite games and you might take the stage in the It's Your Year game show. 25 winners each Thursday. There's $300,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs this January. Yeah, we think it's your year. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old to play.
Get organized with a new Dakota Closet system at Menards. Dakota Closets are versatile and can be installed in any room, from home offices and laundry rooms to walk-in or reach-in closets, and so much more. Use the You Create Closet Planner, available in-store or online, to design a Dakota Closet system that maximizes your space and matches your style. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Now that the game is done, it's our time to check in.
18-point lead for the Bucks again. Giannis the other way. Spins around his man. Drives in and punishes the rim as he punches it through with a left-hand jam.
Let's Talk starts now.
Giannis the other way. Deliberates top of the arc. He's going to try that mid-range shot again, and this time he's pure. He's got 27 points, and Doug Christie's got a problem.
And now, live from Fiserv Forum, here's Justin Garcia and Brandon Sneide.
Yeah, Doug Christie had a big problem all night with his defense. It has been a bit of, I guess I could say, fool's gold for this Kings defense. During the 7-game win streak and the 8 games under Doug Christie, they've been the 5th best defense in the league in that stretch. They don't give up a lot of shots at the rim. When you looked at the defensive shot profile of this Kings team, you thought, that's interesting. But as the game wore on and you started to dig a little bit further, you kind of saw, okay, I think part of this is they don't give up a lot of shots at the rim because they give up a lot of three-point shots. And the defense being 5th, and look, credit to the Kings because there's been some impressive wins during that win streak. The most impressive really handling the Boston Celtics on the road. But I think what really backs up what this defense has done and what the Bucks were able to do tonight is, Doc talked about this after that game that I think a lot of us would rather forget against the New York Knicks the other day. If you're constantly taking the ball out of the net, your offense isn't going to keep up. And the Kings are one of those offenses. Doug Christie said before the game tonight, we are all gas, no brakes. That was a big part of their defensive success, that they're getting up and down the floor, they're scoring a lot, and as the opposing team, when you're taking the ball into the net, slowly your offense is just going to start to lose its steam. So it's not necessarily things the Kings are doing well. It's just it's starting to weigh on you, and that's what we saw tonight. The Bucks were doing to the Kings what the Kings have done to other teams. In that first half especially, this is far and away the best this offense has looked in this year and a half.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Justin. Could you draw up a better get-right game for the Bucks, after that, 140-106 loss in New York to the Knicks? This was another one you and I had talked about was going to be a tough one. The Kings, 7 in a row, red hot, 3 straight road wins included in that 7-game win streak, and this was exactly what you wanted to see from this Bucks team. They've been resilient kind of all year long, being able to fight through injuries and a rough, slow start and the scheduling of the NBA Cup and just have always kind of answered the call and stood up when their backs were kind of getting pushed against it. And tonight was a perfect example for that. I got 2 game balls tonight, and again, this is kind of going to be, you could probably go to Giannis every night, but when you score 33 points, you got 11 boards, you dish the ball 13 times. You and I have talked about it at a number of times. When your best players are in the double digits when it comes to assists, number one, you get a game ball. Number 2, you're going to win like you saw tonight with a 130-115 win over the Kings. Giannis was just incredible for this team tonight. I thought Damian Lillard, he gets an honorable mention. I thought he did a really good job, Justin, setting the tone early for this Bucks team. He had 2 early 3-pointers in the game. He finished, I believe, with 24. So he set the tone early for this Bucks team. But Giannis consistently, as he usually does, kind of carried them all game long. The Kings got within 15 after being down by more than 20 in that third quarter, and then Giannis comes back-to-back mid-range jumpers, and from that point on, it kind of just took off. I know they crawled back in with an 11, but the Bucks, he just dominated, 14 to 23 from the field. We had talked about some of his struggles at the rim, just 2 misses tonight. I thought he did a really good job cleaning that up, and then I got a second game ball, which is kind of out of the norm. Like if you look at the box score, Justin, you'd probably guess it'd be somebody else, but I thought Taurean Prince was good tonight. And I know if you're looking at the box score, you're like, he only had 4 shots. He made 3 of them, but he felt smooth tonight. And I really like this starting lineup, and maybe that's a conversation for you and I down the road of this show. But he only took 4 shots. He made them. They were all 3-pointers. The defense on the perimeter was a big test for this Bucks team tonight. I thought he was fantastic, along with pretty much everybody. I know DeMar DeRozan had 26 points, but I thought the perimeter defense was good tonight. Again, just 9 points from Prince. Didn't really force anything, but he made the shots that he got, and it just felt smooth from him tonight. And a little bit of what we kind of saw all season, the catch and shoot. I think 2 of the 3 that he made were corner threes. So I really liked, what I saw from Taurean Prince. And I know you, Justin, are a big plus or minus guy. Giannis with plus 30, that was a team high. Taurean Prince just had the 9 points. He, played over 25 minutes. But he was the second highest with plus 26. I don't know. I just liked what I saw from Taurean Prince tonight in the starting lineup with no Chris Middleton and no Gary Trent Jr. The perimeter defense was definitely going to get tested tonight. And as a team, they did a phenomenal job. But Giannis gets the game ball. That goes without saying. Another triple-double. And Taurean Prince, just because from an eye test, Justin, I don't know what the metrics say. It felt like a good game from him.
855-616-1620 is the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. I agree. Taurean Prince, I thought, was really good. Whenever he's hitting the corner 3, it just it feels like the offense is humming.
It's a killer for the defense.
Like
you do everything you can. You collapse on Giannis. You blitz Dame, and then Taurean Prince is open in the corner. And as a defense, you're just shrugging your shoulders like, man.
So there's a couple of things the Bucks did well tonight that we talked about Giannis and whether or not the hand was still lingering or bothering him a little bit here. I did notice, I believe the dunks that he had one-handed were once again left-handed dunks.
Interesting. Yep. Interesting.
He did at least hit a couple of those mid-range shots tonight. He started out much better at the free throw line, hit his first 3.
Yeah, he did.
And finished 5 of 7. But there was one thing that stood out to me tonight that the Bucks have really struggled with by the numbers this season. And tonight it was not a problem. And Doc Rivers even sought to call that out after the game and what he really liked about what he saw. I do want to get into that, and curious to see if you have any thoughts at what that could possibly be. So we'll have that conversation. And also you mentioned Taurean Prince and how good he was. I agree. I think this group has worked as kind of the eye test with the starting lineup. The numbers don't necessarily back that up, so I do want to get into that conversation as well. But as mentioned, plenty of time to hear from you. 855-616-1620. The number to join us tonight as the Bucks open up the 4-game homestand with a victory. And now night 2 of a back-to-back tomorrow is a very important game for the Bucks, but one where they may get quite a bit of help. We'll open up that conversation in just a moment as well. So a lot to get to from an impressive wire-to-wire win for the Milwaukee Bucks. What that one thing was the Bucks have really struggled with, but executed pretty well tonight. We'll open up that conversation after this.
This is Bucks Talk.
If you're living with joint pain in your shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, and you have Medicare or Medicaid insurance, coming to Rejuvenex to solve your pain problems is something you should strongly consider. First off, because our FDA-approved pain treatments have been shown in many cases to be highly effective at reducing inflammation and substantially alleviating pain. Secondly, Medicare and Medicaid cover Rejuvenex treatments, so your cost could be nothing, or next to nothing at all. Chronic pain will only worsen with age. This leads to a far more compromised lifestyle, depression, and soon they start talking surgery. And then what? You have to get in front of arthritis and chronic pain, because the sooner you do, by letting us begin to calm those pain points, the better. I'm Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas, and we can alleviate your pain so you can rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Hey, business owners, are you looking to sell your business? I'm sure you have plenty of questions. WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me for our latest Annex Wealth Management webinar. I'll be joined by Brandon Lehman and Brian Lamborn from Annex Wealth Management as we answer your questions. Who should you consult? And of course, when is the best time for you to sell your business? Sign up for this free webinar on Wednesday, January 29th. Text WEB to 855-616-1620 to sign up for the free webinar. Only here on WTMJ.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
Wire-to-wire win tonight for the Bucks, who take down the Kings 130 to 115. I'm Justin Garcia, joined as always by Brandon Sneide here on Bucks Talk as Bucks get to 4 games above 500 now and back up to 5th in the Eastern Conference. A chance to get back to 4th tomorrow against the Magic. I mentioned that's an important game. We'll get to that in a moment, but I said there was one thing that the Bucks have really struggled with this season. The numbers back it up. I have them here in front of me. It wasn't an issue tonight. So I will give you this hint, Brandon. It involves Damian Lillard and the Bucks offense. What do you think the broad subject of this could be that the Bucks have really struggled with this season?
Well, if you're mentioning Damian Lillard there, I'm going to go with getting him shots early.
So, in moments where Damian Lillard is the ball handler and the defense blitzes or pressures and double teams, the Bucks offense is 29th in the league. It's an offensive rating of 99.1. An effective field goal rate of 51%, which not good. 60s is what you're shooting for there. They have really struggled with that. And I was talking about this with someone else the other day. And, it kind of seems like, and I know Doc has talked about this, but pressuring not just Dame, the Bucks period, has kind of been an Achilles heel of sorts that, we've talked about, hey, the value of Chris Middleton. He's another ball handler, despite a segment of Bucks fans that believe he's the worst and he's a turnover machine, that Chris Middleton can still run the offense and get guys organized. Giannis certainly can do that. Damian Lillard can do that. That's it. And one of the things you keep wondering is, do they need another, maybe not point guard per se, but another ball handler to help withstand some of that pressure and deal with that? It was one of the things that really popped about Ryan Rollins earlier this season. And granted, Ryan Rollins is not a traditional point guard. He is a combo guard that Doc Rivers has said, we are trying to teach him to be a point guard. But a guy that has shown the willingness and ability to handle pressure has really stood out for this team because of that. So it is going to remain a work in progress. Like, one game does not fix that. I don't have the numbers on what the Bucks did in those spots tonight, But the eye test and the fact that Doc Rivers spoke about it after the game too tells you, yeah, it was much better tonight. Like, the Kings weren't doing it until the second half when it seemed like the strategy of we got to do something different. I know, let's double team Damian Lillard. It wasn't working, but it was at least slowing down the Bucks offense. But the more he saw it, the better the Bucks adjusted to it, and we started to see those shots go through. So I'm hopeful. This is just more of, let's continue to see more of it. More importantly, you're healthy, and you got guys that are playing better now and starting to hit shots more and more. But more and more doses of this to see those areas for the offense start to get better, because you're going to see it in the playoffs. You're going to see it against the best defenses in the league. So you better get used to it, because the numbers I just rattle off, in the middle of the pack or lower in the league. So I said they're 29th. It's not 29 out of 30 teams. It's out of the ball handlers. So, 50, 60, whatever of your primary ball handlers that are out there, 29th. So at best, you're slightly worse than league average, essentially. Like, that's something that's going to be important for the Bucks as we start to get deeper and deeper into the season. And it seemed as though they handled it pretty well tonight. Well,
and you can look at it too, like look at what Brook Lopez did tonight, which could be a big factor in what you're talking about with the 21 points, 8 of 15 from the field. I thought he was exceptional as well tonight, and kind of, him and Dame have always kind of had that a good rapport. I feel like a good chemistry in the two-man pick and roll game. I thought tonight, going to the Damian Lillard with the blitzing and getting the ball out of his hands, I thought him and Giannis early on too tonight, Justin, were extremely efficient in that two-man game, that pick and roll, and Lillard trying to find Giannis cutting to the rim. I'm a big fan of running the offense through Damian Lillard. I think things just for this offense go a little bit easier for this team, offensively speaking, and getting guys open looks. Again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show about Taurean Prince and what he has brought to this team, especially early on in the season, especially tonight, 3 for 4 from 3. You can only you can only blitz Damian Lillard so many times and double team Giannis so many times. Somebody's going to be open, and it's a make or miss league. Tonight was not the Kings' night when it comes to that, and tonight was the Bucks' night. And for big stretches of this game, they really weren't even shooting the three ball that great, but they were able to facilitate it in a way that we just have not seen quite enough of this year. 32 assists tonight, I believe, for this Bucks team, which that first quarter, Justin, put that first quarter on every teach tape for this team. I mean, that was 47 points. You tweeted it out. It was a season high for the Bucks. 12 assists in that quarter, and Damian Lillard, to your point, was a huge reason why. I mean, he had a few buckets, but he was also able to find the open guy, and guys were just simply hitting shots, something we just haven't seen. And I know when you lose 140 to 106, you can chalk it up as, everything kind of fell apart, and it did. But the Bucks were right in that Knicks game in the first quarter. They were there in the second quarter. They just didn't hit shots. Knicks did. Tonight was the other way around. At one point, the Bucks were up 28 points against one of the hottest teams in the NBA.
So just for proper context, I mentioned the numbers there and how the Bucks' efficiency has been as a team. So this isn't just Damian Lillard shots. It's how does the offense operate when that's the case. When teams say, we're just going to double team Damian Lillard when the Bucks try a pick and roll, 51% effective field goal rate. For context, when Steph Curry is in that spot, the Warriors have a 75% effective field goal rate.
Yeah,
when Tyrese Halliburton is in that spot, the Pacers have a 68% rate. Zach LaVine of the Bulls, 65% rate. Cade Cunningham, 63%. Ja Morant, 63%. Luka Doncic, 63%. Jalen Brunson, 62%. So it is well below. Trae Young, 61%. Well below where it needs to be. We're talking, in the case of Steph Curry, 20, nearly 25 percentage points with the rest of that group. And you can say, well, those are some of the best guards in the league. Yeah, so is Damian Lillard. And you're 10 to 15 percentage points lower in efficiency of what they're engineering for the offense. So this is something I want to come back to and keep an eye on for the rest of the season, because
Absolutely.
I don't know that tonight was a turning point, but tonight was at least a data point where you handled it well and were able to create better offensive looks for this team. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Night 2 of the back-to-back is tomorrow with the Magic coming to town. I want to take a look at what the Bucks have done in recent back-to-backs, night 2, by the way. And the Chris Middleton conversation is today kind of snuck up on you for a couple of reasons, and why that game against the Magic is important. I touched on it a little bit on the network post-game show, but the importance of all of these games from here on out against the Magics, the Pacers, the Heat teams, the Pistons even. Tomorrow's a huge one for the Bucks, the biggest one on this homestand. We'll explain why after this.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
If you need a place for new home interior ideas, then you have to come talk to us. Our on-staff decorators know furniture, home decor, and a lot more. And they're not only creative, but also very willing to help you make great choices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee. Stop in often, because our inventory changes daily.
Design Exchange.
Previously, it has been gently loved. But here, you'll only find very well-conditioned premium home decor items that you likely won't find elsewhere. Distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original art, and other tasteful home decor at a value. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor on consignment at 25 to 40% off retail prices in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
I don't have to tell you that a lot of dust and other junk collects in your ductwork. And it doesn't just sit there. It's blowing around in your home. And that jeopardizes your home health. The commercial industrial duct cleaning system we use at Quality darn near sucked the shirt right off our tech the first time he used it. Believe me, not everybody has this powerful of a system. It's unlike any other. At Quality, you get the best duct cleaning, period. So call Quality first for your duct cleaning needs.
For the signature service you deserve.
Whether it's 24/7 emergency service or it's just time to replace your furnace, at Quality we'll be out so fast you won't even notice the heat being off. And if you're buying a high-efficiency furnace from Armstrong or Carrier, you'll qualify for state and federal tax rebates that'll pay for a big chunk of the cost. This is Anthony Zanevsky from Quality, where you'll get the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
When I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, every time I come in, it's like a whole new store. It's because new inventory's arriving daily, all kinds of everything. And let me tell you, thrift store prices make buying easy. And helping others at the same time, that's icing on the cake. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
Wire-to-wire win tonight for the Bucks to take down the red-hot Sacramento Kings. Sacramento had won 7 games in a row. That was the longest active win streak in the NBA. It was funny too. Before the game, it was I think December 27th when the Kings made the decision to fire Mike Brown. And before the game, Doc Rivers was asked by a Sacramento reporter, hey, you briefly touched on it, but and for whatever reason, we're working through the,
I see that
video opening packages
an hour after the game ended
inside the arena. But hey, what have you noticed that the Kings are doing well since making this coaching change? And everyone to stick up for his guys and get his licks in. Doc Rivers pointed to the offense and some of the things that they were doing and playing with pace and said, yeah, they're getting back to doing all those things that Mike Brown installed here with the group. And that is what the Kings have been doing here. The offense has been leading the way, but the Bucks able to slow down that offense tonight with good defense, but also with offense of their own, as we mentioned. Granted, in fairness to the Bucks, it hasn't been a habitual thing this year, but when it feels like the wheels are kind of falling off defensively, it's been the same type of teams and teams that are playing at a fast pace, getting into the paint, either scoring or finding open shooters from there. That is everything the Bucks did to the Kings tonight. They were also playing at a high tempo. They were getting in the paint. Giannis obviously having a field day there. Brooke Lopez had a big day. And that just forced the Kings to collapse and allowed open shooters to take over for the Bucks. So this was an important start to the homestand. Tomorrow, and we talked about this after the loss to the Knicks too, tomorrow to me was always the most important game because the Magic are still in front of you in the standings. You had momentarily moved past them with your win Friday night in Orlando. But then the Knicks game happens. The Magic won a couple of games. And the Bucks were not only behind Orlando, they were sixth. And not far behind the Detroit Pistons, catching them for sixth. Tomorrow night, a win means you win the season series against Orlando. Regardless of what happens in that fourth game, you would improve to 3-0 against the Magic with just one game remaining. It's important because Orlando is going to get healthy. Tomorrow is not going to be the day for that. And wow, we are really doing this now, huh?
Yeah, they're getting ready. They're getting ready for the Orlando game here, apparently.
Orlando's not going to be healthy tomorrow. They're going to start to get bodies back. And in the interim, they have played well without their most important pieces, especially offensively, just finding ways to win these games and stay in the thick of it with their best players out. The point of this is you're not going to, make up that ground against the Cavs, against the Celtics, against the Knicks. You've lost the head-to-head series in all of those matchups. You have yet to lose this season, not lose the series, lose, period, against those teams that as of right now are bunched up with you. The Magic, the Pacers, the Miami Heat, the Pistons. You're 1-1 against the Hawks, but one loss against those teams that may finish where you are, they may finish in front of you. Like, this is why tomorrow is important, because while those games, much has been made of the 0-8 against the top three teams, you can do the inverse. And you can be the story of these other teams asking, man, why is Orlando 0-3 against the Bucks? Why are the Pacers 0-2 now, potentially 0-3? The Pistons 0-2, and having those conversations. It's important to keep those teams at bay if you're not going to make up ground on the teams in front of them.
Yeah, and I think you and I agreed, Justin, going into after that Knicks game, we were looking at the 4-game homestand and which game we thought that we kind of wanted to circle as being the most important. I think you and I were both in agreement that it was this upcoming game against Orlando. The response tonight from the Bucks is kind of what I was expecting. I didn't think they would win by 15 and at one point be up 28 points against the Knicks team. I thought they would win tonight, but I didn't think it would be as deciding as it was tonight. But you're not going to play the Cavs anymore. You're not going to play Boston anymore. You got one more chance at the Knicks. At best, you're going to be 1-8 against those top teams.
You got one more with the Cavs.
You got one more. Okay, one more with the Cavs, one more with the Knicks. At best, you'll be 2-8 against those teams. I think we can kind of put it to rest that they're just, as of right now in the season, they're just a level clearly ahead of the Bucks. But right now, that is a great opportunity for this team to match up with this Orlando team because it's it really is. I mean, if the playoffs were to start today, and I know that's a cliche thing to say, and it's not going to happen, but this is who the Bucks would match up with. We talked about it when they were here for the NBA Cup and like how we would endure a 7-game series between these two teams that just slug it out defensively and score. It's tough to get buckets and easy buckets at least. It's a pivotal game for me. And again, it's another measuring stick for this Bucks team that is, again, I feel like I say this every show, but it's just hey, you just won by 15 against one of the NBA's hottest teams. Good luck, because in 20 hours, you're going right up against the Orlando Magic team, who, by the way, Justin, haven't played since Sunday. So they're not healthy, but they're well rested coming in to Milwaukee. So, but the Bucks are not. But the Bucks are home, so it's an opportunity for them to kind of again put themselves put their backs against the wall and kind of fight back and prove to themselves, because this is between Orlando and Indiana and Miami, those are likely. You could throw, I guess, Detroit in there. Those are likely going to be one of your first matchups going into the postseason.
Well, and
Hopefully.
You win tomorrow. You send the Magic to 23-19.
Yep.
So you move past them in the standings. But the 19 is the number to focus on because, it's too early to get into the standings watch and that aspect of things. But what I would implore everyone, and I've been on this stance for the last few years here, just look at the losses. Pay attention to the loss column because those are gone. You can't make those up. You can make up the wins. You're 2 wins back of them. You can win 2 games and get there. You can't shave off those losses. So keep an eye on that. And a win tomorrow, again, you move in front of the Magic in the standings. You hand them their 19th loss, which would be 2 more than you have. Same number as the Indiana Pacers, same number as the Pistons, same number as the Hawks. It would just be the Miami Heat with 18 losses. So you would be 2 up there with the head-to-head tiebreaker in hand. So a big one tomorrow. And I mentioned, and you talked about 2 days off for the Orlando Magic as they get set for this game. But they're not going to be healthy. So we looked at this during the game, and the Magic have updated their injury report since. We're not going to have a clearer picture on the Bucks until tomorrow. I mean, the assumption is Chris Middleton is going to play. And I do want to get to that in a second, what went into today's decision. But for tomorrow, the Magic have already ruled out Gary Harris. They have already ruled out Jalen Suggs, who missed the last game as well. Both the Wagner brothers are out once again as Franz is getting closer to his return from an oblique strain. Mo is out for the season with a torn ACL. But Goga Batadze, who's been starting at center for them, is listed as questionable with a hip contusion. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is questionable with a knee strain. So this team, it's one thing after another for the Magic. It could be a very banged-up group tomorrow that comes to Milwaukee. And that's the only, not even blemish, but the only thing you would look at this one and say, the one thing I really wish I would have seen is the margin stayed at 20 throughout the fourth quarter. So instead of the last, 2 minutes, we could have got Giannis and Damian Lillard and Brook Lopez and the rest of the group 6 minutes of game time rest because the medical staff has that data. They have percentages of how much it helps minute by minute to get rest in the games. And I remember the last time the Bucks had a back-to-back, we did not see the actual data or what the number was, but we're told it is significant. If we get an extra 3 minutes where Giannis isn't exerting himself throughout the course of the game, it's a significant advantage for him in tomorrow's game. So you would have liked to see that. But nonetheless, it didn't feel like a high-stress game for Giannis with those 33 points.
Were you surprised he played 37 minutes tonight? I know the Kings got within
they got to 11.
I think was the lowest.
They got to 11.
Giannis had 37. Dame played 35. I guess that does feel kind of high on the outside looking in now, but the Bucks called the timeout. It was 107-96. The Kings had rattled off a few buckets, and it definitely wasn't over. And there was a lot of time left in the game too. What did he emptied his bench with 3-4 minutes left?
Yeah, there was about 8 minutes left when it was down to 11, and then Damian Lillard hit a big basket.
Yeah. Yep.
And it took about 2 to 3 minutes before you balloon that thing back up to 19 or 20. And then we saw still a little bit of, all right, we can't just fully pull the plug now because Sacramento could easily go on an 8-0 run, and maybe time is still on our side, but you're still starting to feel a little bit nervous. So in that respect, yeah, I guess a little bit of surprise, but it was still 3.5 minutes of game time rest that you were able to get those guys down the stretch in this one. Chris Middleton didn't play in this game today. I think we may have taken it for granted that he played in both sets of the back-to-back the first time in his return this season, that getting to the game today, I didn't even think about it. That the assumption was just, well, we've seen Chris playing, so sure, he's going to play in both of these. And then checking the injury report once again and saying, oh yeah, well, I guess we're doing this. And Doc Rivers shared his thoughts on that. I want to get your thought on that, and then also what this team has done of late in Game 2 of a back-to-back. It's been an area of strength through the years for this Bucks team. It did not start that way this season, but we have seen a bit of a change since the first 2-3 weeks of the regular season. So we'll get to that coming up after this.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
A cancer diagnosis shouldn't have to mean living without joy or optimism. At the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Network, we're pushing to put cancer in its place. By bringing together teams of leading specialists who are pioneering ways to treat every type of cancer, and by unleashing promising new clinical trials. Let's push ahead until every cancer diagnosis is a story of survivorship. To learn more about breakthrough cancer care, visit freighter.com/cancer.
$1 in today's world doesn't go far unless you're spending it at Griffin. Because for just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. Buy one or a whole set. This is Jim Griffin, any major brand. We'll put you in new tires for just $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. That's right, $1 over cost, and we'll even show you the invoice to prove it. So what's the catch? There's really no catch. You don't have to buy a car or a truck from us. We'd like it if you did, but our only requirement is we put them on for you. Buy 1, 2, or a set of 4. The $1 deal at Griffin. Available at Griffin Chrysler Jeep South, 27th Street and Jefferson. Griffin Chevrolet in the Auto Mall. Griffin Ford, Waukesha, and Fort Atkinson. 5 ways to make your dollar go further. Griffin, the buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. $1 over cost. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your 4th quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 844-763-2837 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today, 844-763-2837. That's 844-763-2837. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
This is Bucks Talk.
.130 to 115 final. The Bucks with a wire-to-wire win against the Sacramento Kings tonight. They're 21-17 on the season and back up to 5th now in the East. They welcome the Magic to town tomorrow night for night 2 of a back-to-back. We just ran through the injury report for the Magic. If you missed it, it's a lot that have been ruled out or listed as questionable for Orlando. They are still going to be playing without Franz Wagner. They're playing without Mo Wagner for the rest of the season. It'll be the 2nd straight time the Bucks face them without both Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. So one after another, a banged-up Orlando Magic team that is going to be here in Milwaukee tomorrow. But Chris Middleton, did you assume he was going to miss today's game?
I kind of figured he would. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? He looked good against the New York Knicks, too, I thought.
He was efficient offensively.
He looked good. He looked good against the Knicks, but looking at the schedule, yeah, I figured one or the other.
I just being used to seeing Chris Middleton out there and the fact that, again, the first set of back-to-backs the Bucks had when Chris was back, he played in. I didn't even give it any consideration, and thought, yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
He's out tonight, and Doc even said when he was asked about it, it's just a back-to-back. We had to choose one game and felt like this would give him more days of rest if we did it this way. So that part of the answer, and just everything that we've heard Doc Rivers talk about in the last week or 2 weeks about Chris Middleton, even joked after his presser today. Very pleased it was only 2.5 minutes versus the standard 10-plus minutes from Doc Rivers. and even joked of, hey, I mean, these are fun when I don't have to answer questions about injuries.
Yeah.
Between what he had to say last week and that line of, it's just a back-to-back, leads me to believe, yeah, he did it once, but we're not seeing that again this season from Chris Middleton.
Well, and that might have been why, he missed a few of the games after. I mean, I'm speculating, of course. I have no information on that.
Well, he only missed the game that he missed was up until the most recent one was the illness. And technically he didn't miss it because it was the game that didn't happen against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, true. Okay. Yep, you're right.
But the Bucks started the season with back-to-back losses on night 2 of a back-to-back. Since then, they have played 4 back-to-backs, and on night 2, they've won 3 of their last 4. And I point that out because the 2 losses, remember, it was very early in the season that those were part of the first 10 games of the season when this team was still very much in the throes of it, still starting to figure things out and not playing to the level that we've seen of late when they were 2-8. The second one was that loss to the Knicks. That was night 2 of a back-to-back, and that dropped them to 2-8 on the season. You had just throttled the Utah Jazz, and we felt like, all right, here's where they're starting to pull out of it, but then you lose to the Knicks. So we have seen this Bucks team playing much more consistently and playing much better on night 2 of a back-to-back since that stretch. And as mentioned before, that was really a big staple of the Bucks, not just the last couple of years, since 2018 when this version of the Bucks arrived and was a perennial championship threat.
Tom, looking at the schedule now, it looks like they've won. So they lost against the Knicks, but then it looks like they won their next 2. Second leg of a back-to-back.
Yeah, and then they had a loss, and they won the most recent one.
And I remember that, too. I vividly remember it because it was around Halloween when they went into Brooklyn, kind of laid an egg in Brooklyn. It was an ugly game. And then their second leg of a back-to-back was in Boston, and then you're like, oh, boy.
Yep.
You drop one in Brooklyn, and now you're in Boston. And that was actually one of the better.
That was the first week of the season.
Yeah, and that was almost one of the better games in that ugly stretch that they had where they started 2-8. Yeah, they won 2 games in there, but that game in Brooklyn, you felt like, even though it was a loss, that second leg of a back-to-back, you felt good about it. Like, it wasn't the outcome that you had anticipated or hoped for, but it was a good feeling. So this is the team that just Justin all year long has really, and I'm sure you could probably make the case for every team in the NBA. The Orlando Magic are certainly one of those teams that are dealing with a lot of adversity, but it feels like this team is just kind of answers the bell every time they're put to the test, and tonight was another example of it. They're going to get put right back to the test tomorrow on a second night of a back-to-back, and you hope. Did he talk about Gary Trent Jr. at all?
Before the game, yeah. And it's, he there was no clear indication on tomorrow, just said he's made progress with the hip, but he's just not ready to play yet. So
you probably won't see him tomorrow. I'm going to assume, but you will see. You think we will see Chris Middleton tomorrow?
That was the indication from Doc Rivers to say it was just a back-to-back and we had to choose one game.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play tomorrow, it means something that they did not expect happened. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see that matchup tomorrow because again, I think this is a big one for the Bucks certainly to kind of get above. I don't think they've been above five games above 500 this year yet. I think 4 games was the high water mark.
4, I believe, is the high.
Twice now because they were 4 games going into New York. We obviously lost that game and they bounced right back tonight. So I'm curious to see if they can get up to that 5th game above 500. That doesn't mean anything, but I think for a team that had the start that they had, Justin, and the injuries that they've endured and the scheduling and the back-to-backs that we're obviously talking about, I think that would be a huge win, not only for the reasons I laid out, but the ones you laid out earlier when it comes to seeding against this Orlando Magic team, a team that you're likely going to have to go through if the standings stay where they're at for the next few months, a team that you're going to have to go through in the postseason. So definitely going to be a fun one tomorrow.
Yeah, 4 is the high. They've done it 3 times.
Okay.
And so a win tomorrow gives you the most cushion 500.
Couple things to play for tomorrow.
For a team that did not get to above 500 until the final day of November.
No kidding. Yeah, that was against Washington. You're right. Yeah. Again, that and then that's all. Giannis talks about it. I know he says it almost after every game, but these are the things about building good habits. You know, getting in to a team that you're going to play in the playoffs, or that you're at least going to have to get past, you know, in the seeding or in a series. It's important. I mean, it's important. This is kind of where, you know, in my opinion, this is kind of where the season starts to kind of take off, Justin. You kind of ascend or descend going in to the All-Star break, and then obviously, as you know, after the All-Star break, it's on. I mean, it's on, and you're just a few weeks, 6 weeks, I believe, out from the playoffs after that All-Star break. So the Bucks, I think, have a great opportunity in front of them. Obviously, they have a handful of home games. You know, the next 3 home games against teams that I think are winnable: Toronto and Philly. Philly, I don't know if you saw Philly's injury report tonight. That's Sunday's matchup, but tonight, I don't even know if they fielded.
It was night one of a back-to-back for Philly.
So it's a great opportunity for to get to that high water mark at 5 games over 500 after the start that you had. You could look back after the start they had for the start of the new year, where they lost to Brooklyn and Portland in back-to-back games. So again, this is a good moment for this team, a good opportunity in front of them. I think the next few games are very, very winnable games. Then you face that West Coast road trip, and then before you know it, you and I are in the All-Star break, and the playoffs are right around the corner.
With this performance tonight, the Bucks offense, let's hope this is a turning point for this group to consistently start to piece together some of these types of showings. I mean, I'm not suggesting 130 points per game is the norm for this group. It's the first time this season the Bucks have scored 130 in a game, and they are the second to last team to reach that mark. There's only one team in the league that has yet to score 130 points in a game.
Is it Orlando?
It is not Orlando.
Okay. Wow.
They play in the East.
Brooklyn?
They are on this homestand for the Bucks.
Toronto. Philly.
No, it is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow.
Who
Okay.
have yet to score 130 points. But you had your season high in offensive production. You had your season high for points in a quarter. You had your second highest amount of points scored in a half. So hopefully this is the moment where we see this team start to figure it out offensively, because a couple of things happened in most recent days here. The disaster in New York dropped the Bucks down to 12th in defensive rating for the season as a whole. Since the 2-8 start, they're still 12th. They've consistently been there. So if we look at, the full picture of these, 38 games played, the Bucks have been consistently mid this season. They're 13th in offense, 12th in defense, 13th in net rating. So start to put together a sample size where the offense is moving the needle, because while we've said, hey, the defense has been consistently a top 10-ish level defense, you can live with a 12th or 13th or somewhere around there, as long as it's not dipping below 14th, 15th. You can live with that defensively if your offense is starting to click up to 9th, 8th, 7th, somewhere around there. So let's start to see the compass point in that direction for the Bucks on the offensive side of the floor. You mentioned the Philadelphia injury report. That's another thing to keep an eye on for the rest of this homestand for the Bucks. We spent a lot of time on the big one tomorrow against the Orlando Magic, one that we're kind of glossing over against the Toronto Raptors, and hopefully that does not come back to bite the Bucks. But the last game is going to be interesting as well, and it's not necessarily just because of the matchup with Philly, but because of the schedule. So we're starting to take a look at that coming up after this.
This is Bucks Talk.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy the rinse straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true. But offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Deep freeze is here. It's not too late for you to get hot, hot, hot. Fox World Travel has your ticket to paradise with exclusive deals you won't find anywhere else. Save up to $150 on Mexico and Caribbean vacations with Apple Vacations, or get Fox exclusive cruise perks like onboard credits and more with Celebrity Cruises, Holland America, or Princess. Don't miss this limited time to book now and save only at Fox World Travel. Book online or call 866-GO-FOX-GO and mention code radio.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
All right, so back-to-back tomorrow for the Bucks is not even halfway through this the volume of back-to-backs, I should say.
Ridiculous.
So their next set is next week.
Yeah.
You have at New Orleans on Wednesday, here against Miami on Thursday.
Terrible.
That is part of Rivals Week, as the Miami Heat have been dubbed the Bucks' rival. And then you have one less than a week later.
Jesus.
In late January against the Blazers on the road, the Trailblazers on the road.
Yeah.
Then you have another one less than a week later, home against the Memphis Grizzlies, February 2nd. In Oklahoma City against the Thunder.
Nope, chalking that one up.
On February 3rd. And then you have another one a week later, just before the All-Star break, home against the 76ers on Sunday, February 9th, home against the Golden State Warriors, Monday, February 10th. The rest of your back-to-backs are after the All-Star break, which I believe includes their first game out of the All-Star break. So February 20th and 21st, March 4th and 5th, March 8th and 9th, March 15th and 16th, and April 9th and 10th. So your last 3 days of the regular season. But they beat the Wizards in their most recent night two of a back-to-back. They had lost to the Hawks prior to that. That was the game after beating the Pistons to punch their ticket to the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. And that was a game that I think a lot of us kind of assumed this is going to be a loss. You just had that emotional win.
It did, yeah.
Guys were out in that game against the Hawks as well. You beat the Hornets prior to that. You beat the Pistons prior to that in overtime. So they've consistently started to play much better on night two of a back-to-back, and you get another crack at it tomorrow. But, you know, as we just mentioned, the remaining opponents the Bucks have on night two of a back-to-back, the Magic tomorrow, the Miami Heat next week, which, by the way, Jimmy Butler is off suspension Saturday. His suspension runs through Friday, and according to the reports, has already met with Pat Riley and said, I have no intention on signing the contract, so trade me.
I was going to say if he's even in Miami.
The Thunder are in that group. The Warriors are in that group. The Mavericks are in that group. Your final game against the Cavs is night two of a back-to-back. Both of your games left against the Thunder are night twos of back-to-back. So
Great. Joy.
It's not only the volume, it's the opponents that the Bucks have on that list. Real quick, as we start to wrap here, I don't want to overlook the Toronto Raptors because we just saw the Raptors beat the Warriors last night, and they are the exact type of team that can give the Bucks fits. But let's almost overlook them to look ahead to after tomorrow, Sunday night. Only the second time the Bucks will have seen the 76ers this season, the first since opening night. And that is night 2 of a back-to-back for Philly. So Philly's week this week. Tonight, playing against, oh, by the way, maybe the best team in the league, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tomorrow night against the New York Knicks. Then you get a couple of days off. And then Saturday night in Indy against the Pacers. Sunday night in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Pacers and Bucks may be tied in the standings. So how do you determine which of those 2 games you're going to hold Joel Embiid and Paul George out of?
It's a great question. It's probably going to be the one against the Bucks, I would imagine.
Well, I guess we will find out Sunday night.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Bucks. I hope not, because I'll be here, but I would love to see it. But they're closer to Indiana than the Milwaukee right now in the standings. So maybe that's how they view it. I don't know.
Not by much.
I suppose we're all kind of jumped in there together.
Tomorrow night, night 2 of a back-to-back, a big one against the Orlando Magic, a chance for the Bucks to win the season series, get the tiebreaker, and move back into 4th place in the Eastern Conference. 7 o'clock tip-off tomorrow. 6:30 is when our pregame coverage begins on these airwaves. And be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk. We will talk with you then.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic